So why do you think the listener out there that's hopefully clicked on this button should carry on listening, or this episode and the others in the future?
Well, probably because they're a bit bored. You can almost pick any point and start running with it, but we took the tactic of, let's start at the beginning.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Warp Source podcast. I'm Gus.
And I'm Sean.
Together we're going to mix the grim dark humour to make grim humour.
And our mission is to help anyone new to the 40k setting better understand what it is. And if you're a veteran, hopefully we'll give you something to laugh at.
And I'm with all you newbies out there that I know almost nothing about the 40k lore, but excited to learn.
I'm here to help Gus. I'm going to expand your knowledge, just like the Silitrix Maledictum has expanded the influence of the Immaterium.
Sounds good. So this is going to be cringy. This is episode 0. We may or may have not recorded others in advance of this, but we are just starting out on our very first podcast ever. But just before we get the party started, if you do find us entertaining, we would appreciate your support on our socials. Warp Saucy, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, details in the show notes. But with that out of the way, should we get the party started?
Yeah, so episode 0, we've done 2 already, haven't we? We've done the first 2 episodes, and then we thought episode 0 should be a thing too, where we tell everyone a bit about what the podcast series is, and a little bit about ourselves as well, so you know who you're listening to.
Exactly, and we're going to probably release these in order, so it should show up as 0, 1, 2, even though we've done them out in recording. But who is actually going to listen to this, you think?
Anyone who wants to, Gus. This is for everyone and anyone, as long as they like 40k, obviously.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think we're going to start near the beginning of the lore, the first couple ones. And then we're going to go and branch off and just pick cool stories as we go along.
Yeah, it's one of those things. 40k is a vast, massive amount of history and lore with 40k, and you can almost pick any point and start running with it. But we took the tactic of, let's start at the beginning, set out what the groundwork, I guess, the base level of knowledge that people need to understand key elements of the setting. And then the idea is we're going to go into other things, talk about characters and more specific things later on.
Perfect. So if you're starting out, you can come along with us and get to learn as long as I learn or remember the lore stuff. And if you've been around the block a few times, then you can have fun correcting us, because there's definitely going to be some mistakes for you to talk about.
Yeah, true. I mean, I don't know everything either. We're interested in the subject area, interested in the lore, and we collect some models and do some painting.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think we're going to talk a little bit about the Warhammer fantasy universe as well sometimes? Do you think we'll throw that in?
So it's interesting because I'm definitely more into 40k at the moment. I have been into fantasy in the past. We've both played World of Warcraft, for example. But yeah, the fantasy lore is good as well. The thing that I'm interested about the most, which isn't canon, is the linkage between the Warhammer Fantasy and the Warhammer 40k universe.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's kind of the reason why, and we'll get into this in a bit, why I chose a little bit of demons to play with, because they can play with them both. I actually don't know if there's many others that can do that, but that's cool. So why do you think, the listener out there that's hopefully clicked on this button should carry on listening, or this episode and the others in the future?
Well, probably because they're a bit bored. They want to put off doing some work maybe, or they're doing the dishes, or they're doing the hoovering, or going for a walk. General reasons why you listen to a podcast. Hopefully we're going to have a bit of humour. We're finding it difficult actually at this point in time through some of the recordings we've done, just because it's alien to us, and we're trying to remember what to say and kind of keep track of things and what's going on alongside the humour. So it's a bit different to our usual Discord chats that we usually do, Gus, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say there's a little bit more of a formality to it, and we might or may have not have recorded one of the episodes a few times. So we're trying to bring in some light humour to something that we've just talked about for 3 hours plus already, which is a challenge, I could say.
Yeah, and it's getting used to recording. It's there might be corrupt audio, or there might be weird noises in the background that we're not sure how to filter and stuff, because we're brand new to this. It's all new, it's all exciting, and we're trying to do our best.
Yeah, and one of the things we're doing to practice is, if you're listening to this on the podcast, as mentioned that we've got a YouTube channel where we're doing a bit of experimental news as well. So if you wanted to listen to a bit of what's up with Warhammer, that might be a place to go to as well. Also,
the shorts you've been making, Gus, they're really, really cool. I really like the videos, and obviously you're learning as well as you go along and improving as you go along. It's all good.
Yeah, they've been quite fun to make. You know, we're trying to cut up little fun bits here and there. But I would say that if anybody did watch the YouTube's intro news channels, you'll see some little animated characters, which I'm going to shout out Sean for making. They look pretty awesome. Definitely need some of those on a t-shirt, I reckon.
I dabble with some doodles from time to time.
So, is there anything else before we talk a little bit about ourselves and our background?
I don't think so. I think we've answered, haven't we? Who wants to listen? Why you should listen? Vaguely.
Yeah.
Obviously, the real reason behind that is because we're going to be talking about 40k lore and trying to give a large quantity of information to you listening in a concise period of time, rather than having to go through every Warhammer book, of which there are a ton, over 1,000.
Yeah, and perhaps with a little bit of a dry sense of humour attached to it too.
Well, we are British.
Speak for yourself. Yeah, I'm British as well. So, what started you off? If you can remember, what got you into like the Warhammer universe, 40k or fantasy or Dungeons and Dragons?
So it was, I mean, I've always liked fantasy-based stuff, but 40k specifically, I must have been like early teens, and I seen some of the models. I think when it's all my friends had some of the models, and obviously started asking questions about them. So I ended up getting for Christmas some Ultramarines, some Smurfs. Well, I say my Ultramarines, they were Space Marines that I painted blue, and I quickly realised that actually they're a bit generic. And although I've got nothing against Ultramarines, I have to say, or Guilliman, I went for Dark Angels in the end, so I painted them all black, actually, at that point in time. My painting skills weren't amazing.
Yeah, emo black, sounds cool.
How about you, Gus?
I think I actually, when I started off, I was playing Dungeons and Dragons Fantasy, like board game stylies, and they used to come with little miniature plastic models as your Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And then I think I was walking past a shop, and in the window I saw like loads of extremely well painted miniatures. Wandered in, realised that actually there's a whole community of Warhammer that does this kind of thing based in the future. So yeah, I kind of like hung around the shop as a little nerdy kid, wondering what all these expensive models were about, hoping one day I could afford to buy them.
Was that sort of early teens for you as well then?
Yeah, pretty early teens. I probably did Dungeons and Dragons pre-teens. Yeah.
Brilliant. So what armies are you collecting at the moment?
So I think my first ever armies were, I think like yourself, some blue Ultramarines, but since coming back to it later on, I picked up like one of the starter sets that were Grey Knights and Chaos. So because I wanted some Desert Storm looking Grey Knights, so I was picking up those with some Dark Angels plus Grey Knights. So I kind of went Space Marine type thing to start with, and then instead of building a massive army of one, I've kind of like, I guess as a lot of people do, go, I want a little bit of everything. So a little flavour of demons, a little flavour of Necrons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready for every situation.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Kind of having a small collection. Although you always get tempted to build more. What about what are you running these days?
So you remember a few years ago I had Tyranids that we had a few battles against, didn't we? Mm-hmm. I thought you were deep. So your Khorne army and your Necrons.
Yeah.
A few years ago with my Tyranids. And then there was a sale on for Imperial Knights. I think it was something like £100 for 2 Imperial Knights, and it was an offer I just couldn't pass up at the time. Always wanted to own some Imperial Knights since I was early teens. You see those models in the shop, like you say, and you think, I'm never going to own that. So I bought that box set and spent just over a month paying up 2 Imperial Knights. Really enjoyed it. And then I decided to trade in my Tyranids because I fancied a bit of orc action. So we've actually, you didn't mention, but your demon army, one of the reasons that you collect that is because that allows you to play some fantasy as well, so Age of Sigma.
Yeah, exactly. I like that flavour that you could change. I forget if you could do it with other armies as well, but that the demons, specifically corn demons, that don't have any weaponry, you could just straight use them with a different rule set in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, so in order for us to play Age of Sigmar together, I got myself some orcs for Age of Sigmar to start with, actually, and I got an army of Iron Jaws that we've played a few times, and I just thought, why stop there with the green theme? And now I'm collecting orcs for 40k as well. It's a bit slow progress because I've got a toddler at the moment, so I don't have all the time I used to be able to paint stuff up. But I'm steadily working through my 1500 point army, getting it painted up, ready for our next battle, Gus.
Yeah. So what do you say is your favourite part? Is it the lore part, the painting part, or the collecting part of the Warhammer franchise?
Painting, I've got a love-hate relationship with it. There are some times I really enjoy it and it's relaxing, and other times where it seems like a bit of a chore and frustrating. So although, I do the painting, it's not always the most enjoyable part for me. I think probably the lore is my favourite bit of the hobby. But also, I enjoy the 2 to 3 hour games that we have occasionally.
Yeah, I think a similar boat that, although I'm not sure if I enjoy any of the painting. I like it when it's painted and that I have painted it. That looks nice on the shelf.
True.
But I couldn't bring myself to... I've got quite a few unpainted models that are just needing to get out of the box.
Yeah, it's similar. Like I say, sometimes it's... I'm really up for it and I want to sit down and paint, and other times I just want it to be finished. It's either one or the other.
Yeah, I definitely like the collecting. I'm always like, oh, what's the next part I can do? But at the moment, I'm paint restricted. So you got to talk about what got you into it. Is there anything else in this Warhammer space that you like? Any other creators in the space? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Well, I mean, I listen to Luton. There's a number of Warhammer channels that I listen to, but probably my Luton and Voldemort, they're very good for listening to a relaxing bit of lore, but also reading the books or reading the stuff that I can on the wiki, and that's usually my go-to place, either the wiki or one of the digital books, one of the copies, because I can then read little bits here and there when I'm either looking after my daughter or out and about doing other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I like the art that people have created about the Warhammer universe. That looks sick.
Oh yeah,
I definitely spend a lot of time looking at that. But I kind of really liked what Mini War Gaming have done with their bunker. That's such an awesome thing that they've made a whole hotel and studio around themed.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's great. I'd love to go visit them one day. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. Yeah, that'd be awesome. From an art perspective, Pinterest is awesome for that.
Yeah. There's
lots of really cool art that comes up on Pinterest. I definitely spend more time than I should do flicking through Warhammer art on Pinterest.
Definitely, yeah. So this kind of podcast that we're creating, have you done anything like this before? Obviously, we're a bunch of mumblers, as you may or may have not picked up so far.
Well, I mean, this was the perfect thing for us, wasn't it? With the mumbling that we do. We're trying to get out of that, by the way. I think practice is going to make perfect, but it might take a bit of time because we do revert back to the mumblingness that we have. But yeah, I've never done anything like this before, no. Which is why it's new, exciting, and hopefully it's going to help us improve our diction.
Yeah, exactly. And we've invested a little bit of time and effort into trying to make the at least sound quality good. So hopefully it's sounding nice. And we're spending a bit of time with creating nice little animations and shorts and clips and video parts. So hopefully we'll venture into making little scrapbook images and animations in the future.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know, you listening to this might be similar. I tend to need an objective or a goal for me to do certain things. So, for example, if I'm doing some drawing or painting or things like that, I need to have a reason for doing it, and this is a brilliant reason for doing it. The last big reason I had for doing something like that was my Dungeons and Dragons game I was playing with a bunch of friends a few years ago, where I was drawing all their characters for them and stuff. So this is awesome, yeah. And branching out to animation and things, I've never done that before, so it's a good learning curve.
Cool. And is there anything, particularly that you think you're looking forward to as we create the podcast? I know for me, the lore bit I'm really looking forward to is talking about individual characters and learning a lot about their stories. I did a lot when I was first getting into it, although I've forgotten probably a lot. And there is so much to learn that you never get it all. That's for me what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, I think, it can be very easy for some of this knowledge just to slip through the cracks over time. So definitely like refreshing, so getting my knowledge back up to speed again, so rereading some stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know as well, so learning new stuff. And I think also passing that knowledge on to you, and actually probably vice versa. Hopefully we get to that stage where you're saying stuff to me and I'm like, wow, where'd you get that from? That was interesting. That's the sort of thing I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can share a bit of the lore research, because there's so much to do.
So what other hobbies do you have then, Gus, apart from Warhammer? Let's talk a little bit about the wider perspective.
Other hobbies, well, this is taking majority of the time at the moment, but I like creating games, programming out some games. So hopefully, maybe in the future we could build something together out of this.
Definitely. I think we've both got a bit of hobbyist game development in us, just because we played WoW for a long, long time, and the fantasy elements of that just make you want to make a game sometimes. I quite like isometric type games, actually.
Yeah, they're quite nice, simple, like the Clash of Clans style. Like super nice graphics, works smoothly on the mobile, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Or Diablo. Diablo's also good. Or Angron, as you call him.
Angron, Mr. Angry Man.
So I think as time goes on, we want to obviously, as we touched on earlier, we want to refine our natural entertainment skills that we have.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think it would be awesome at some point to be able to talk to the community and do some giveaways.
Yeah, I think that's a goal, isn't it? Build a community here, and then hopefully get some of you to help us select what lore we want to do or things you're interested in, and just get some involvement. Get people that are interested in the same thing, talking to one another and helping to educate each other and share stories, share interests, all that kind of stuff. And hopefully we'll get a Discord server set up too as well at some point.
And if you come over to our socials, you can drop us a message, let us know what you think, give us some feedback. Hopefully you found us somewhat entertainment. But I think that's going to wrap up the podcast for us for today. And hopefully you're going to join us next time and there many more podcasts to come. So don't forget, we're at Warp Saucy, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
See ya.